through Juice Plus. Juice Plus has come out with a whole new research summary that's phenomenal, and it gives us 15 areas that it talks about how our research kind of falls into these 15 areas. And so we as a team are tackling 2 areas a week, and this is week 3. And Brenda, I am so excited. I can't wait to turn it over to you. So take it away. We can't wait to learn what you have to share with us.
Oh, well, I'm really excited too. As I shared with Elaine earlier this morning, I love this stuff, and I am so overwhelmed and so grateful for just what we have in our hands with all of this research. Now, the 2 areas that we're going to talk about today are big areas. It's cardiovascular health, and there's 10 of those studies, 10, and the DNA and nutrigenomics, and there's 6 of those. So we're going to talk about 16 different studies today. I'm not going to get to all of them, but I'm going to show you a lot. So buckle up, get a drink. I should have brought mine, and because I got a lot to share. So we're going to kind of give you an overall, and also I'm hopefully going to be able to introduce you to maybe some new videos that aren't exactly new to our company, but maybe new to us. And we just have such a wealth, and we want to make sure that just to be able to show, there's so many things that we can use to show all the different aspects of our research. So under cardiovascular health, it's influenced by multiple factors. It's blood pressure, blood lipids, homocysteine, which is a huge one. Our beloved Dr. Rick used to talk about homocysteine, because that's a biomarker of your cardiovascular health, and blood vessel elasticity. We're going to talk about that too. So combined results of our studies show that Juice Plus helps maintain perfect blood pressure, total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, which is the good one and the bad one, or the lousy one, and the homocysteine levels. They already helped us with keeping that in a healthy range, and that they've been shown to support normal, healthy elasticity of our arteries. And so under cardiovascular health, one of the people that I'm going to introduce you to first, his name is Dr. Gerald Tulsert. If you've been around a while, you probably may not recognize his name as the pediatric cardiologist from Linz, Austria. And he teaches at the University of Vienna, got a cool accent. And he has a very short video. Most of his videos, we're going to see a bunch of them today, but most of them are only about a minute long. But he's explaining how fruits and vegetables help improve heart health. Now, the focus of his research is when he discovered about good nutrition, he says that nutrition is the most important thing in keeping cardiovascular systems healthy. And he recommends Juice Plus because he says there's so much scientific evidence behind Juice Plus that it's a product that's useful, it's safe, and we know from the research exactly what it does in our bodies. He is most famous for, he is a pediatric surgeon, and he was one of the first doctors to ever do perform the world's first, he was the doctor who did the world's first heart surgery on a baby who was still in utero. And I think now he's done up to 20 of them. Can you imagine, as a mom, you're pregnant with your baby, you hear that they have congenital heart disease in the womb, or they have what this baby had. The first one was pulmonary atresia, which means that it wasn't pumping right. And to have a doctor who, first of all, was willing to even try to save your baby's life, and as a pregnant mom going into surgery, it just amazes me. But also to know that every one of his surgeries in utero have been successful. So Elaine, if you would not mind showing that one first, or wait a minute, I guess I'm going to do that, aren't I? I need to go to, I'm sorry, I should have this done.
Brenda, I don't mind.
Okay, that would be great, because I didn't even think about doing that. Sorry, friends.
Do you want to start here?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Well, there are some alarming figures about chronic diseases in childhood appearing even earlier now, especially cardiovascular disease, things like increased blood pressure or hardening of the arteries. Through research, we are realizing now more and more how important a role nutrition really plays in this. And I try to explain to my patients and their parents each day how important nutrition really is. The cardiovascular system is at risk, and now is the time to protect it as well as they can. Nutrition is the most important thing. It's the thing they can change. It's easy for me to recommend Juice Plus. There's so much scientific evidence behind this product, with all the peer-reviewed, with all the scientific studies published in peer-reviewed journals. Juice Plus is a product. It's useful, it's safe, and through research we know exactly what it does to our bodies.
Isn't that pretty amazing? And if you'll notice, he only was showing the fruits and vegetables. So several of these studies that have been done on Juice Plus, it was before we even had the berries and the grapes. And certainly long before we had the omegas. So and I remember seeing another exciting talk with him where he was being interviewed, just talking about the difference for heart that the berries and the grapes made when he was able to recommend those to his patients and they added them. And I know that's been a huge thing. When I started in Juice Plus 19 years ago, only team members could get the berries and the grapes. And so we've been so fortunate to have been able to have that added protection, especially in terms of heart and elasticity of our blood vessels. So I'm so grateful for that. So, okay, so the next study that we're going to talk about is one from Brigham Young University. And this one, honestly, I do talk about a lot. Again, this one was from 1999. But what makes this one so amazing is that this one was basically done on smokers, and actually not just smokers, heavy smokers. They took, because they say, I remember Dr. Bill Sears saying that smoking is the worst legal thing you can do to your body, because basically you're setting it aflame from the inside out. And the people in this study, there were 75 people, and all of them smoked on an average of 20 or more cigarettes a day for at least 10 years. Can you imagine? And the amazing thing is that of those 75, none of them at that point had existing respiratory complications, which I remember Dr. Rick saying that they all had complications, but it wasn't to the extreme point yet, which amazes me. But they had all those free radicals that are running around in their system because cigarette smoking increases oxidative stress and puts a major tax on heart and lungs. And so the research wanted to, I mean, they were very skeptical, but they thought, let's give it a shot. So they divided these smokers into 3 groups. So there was a group that was just on the red and green. And this one did have a trio, and then there was a placebo and so they divided them up, and what they discovered that what they were testing was their blood levels on 2 substances. They were looking at the homocysteine and the cysteine, and it's important to keep both of those amino acids within a healthy range. So their lung function was evaluated by how much air they could take. If you've ever had surgery where you have that little thing you have to breathe into because they want to see how much air, not that you're taking in, but how much you're blowing out. Okay, and also they wanted to check in terms of homocysteine. They're also measuring their folate level. Okay, so that's another thing we're going to talk about. So after 3 months, the levels of homocysteine and cysteine in all 75 of these participants had returned to normal levels after taking Juice Plus. Okay, and both of the Juice Plus groups experienced those kind of improvements, but of course it was much more improvement with the trio. But both groups, just on the red and green, without the purple, they still had improved levels of folate, which is really huge. And get this, the placebo group had, of course, no changes. And so that really pointed out that, just the difference in adding just Juice Plus to it. And so Juice Plus, it really impacted the key indicators of cardiovascular health, lung wellness. The antioxidants were great. And they said that, heart healthy nutrition includes eating lots of fruits and vegetables, and they have multiple health promoting constituents. And sadly, that, there are still lots of people who are still smoking today. And, but this is something that we can offer in a non-judgmentary way at all, because, I love to be able to tell them, Juice Plus is something that works even in smokers and improves their overall health. So I think that is a huge thing. Because like I said, it amazes me how even in this day and age, I'm sorry, that's my personal bias, I guess, that people would still do that. But I know that it's a big deal. And, I'm sorry.
Brenda?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is Maura.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I'm in my car, so I had to try to grab you when you were taking a break. Where are you sitting on the Dropmark site right now where you see those videos? I've been looking.
Well, we're going to put it, they're right here. Yeah, I'm sorry, Elaine, go ahead.
If you go to our Team Extreme website, and it's just, let me see, so you guys can see the https://teamextreme.dropmark.com for those of you who maybe don't know about our website. Then you scroll down to where it says training.
Okay.
And then under the very first one, research summary.
Got it. Excellent. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Do we actually?
I apologize for not doing that.
Oh, no problem. Okay. Do we have a place where all the research videos are? Because, sometimes we have a little collection over here. There's some on YouTube, but is there any place where we have like all the research?
Well, Elaine and I were talking about that this morning. We want to make sure we capture them all.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I had to go hunt for some of these. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. So we're all on the same page. Thanks.
Sure. You're so welcome.
I have a question. With all this impressive research, and it looks like all the levels were going down. Why is it on the actual summary sheet here? It talks about these happening on levels that are already within the healthy range. I'm getting ready to approach a hospital, a psychiatric hospital, to see if they would be interested in doing anything. But they're gonna ask something like that. They won't see the research. They'll look at this first and say, well, if it's already going to be normal to begin with, how do we know it's going to be any advantage for someone? How would I answer that?
I guess I'm not understanding what you're asking.
You're saying it says that it's already in healthy ranges?
If you look on the actual research summary, yeah. And you go down to the fourth to the bottom line. The homocysteine.
Well, how I would answer that is if we can go from good, Juice Plus will take something from good to great, it's going to take from bad to good. It's a whole lot harder to go from good to great than it is from bad to good.
And
So
I think that's saying if they're already in healthy range, it kept it there. But I don't think they're saying that they were. It says that are already in healthy range, but most people aren't, right?
Well, that's my point, is that people might say, so how does it help if you're not in healthy range? If you're in it, it will keep you there. But if you're not, how do you help get there? It doesn't show that it proves that it helps you get there.
But
I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
What Pam Popper used to say, who wants to be normal in a sick world? Because we're not a healthy society, for most of them. So, I don't know. I don't think most of us are sick, and certainly, just talking about smoking, people. If the people are smoking, I've never had one person ever tell me that they thought smoking was a healthy thing to do. So,
Well, and research out there says with every additional serving of a fruit and vegetable, you decrease your chances of disease, any disease across the board. That's what homocysteine, measuring that homocysteine level. And so if you're even if you're in good range, you continue to drive those chances of disease down. So it doesn't matter if you're bad or average, every additional serving of fruits and vegetables will drive down our chances of getting any disease across the board. Who wouldn't want that?
yeah. Okay.
Maybe I was reading too much into it. I just wanted to know how to prepare to talk to them.
Well, and I love what it says, that Juice Plus, the research of the smoking thing said that they speculated that Juice Plus, with its bevy of naturally occurring whole food antioxidants, is a convenient way for people who have difficulty eating enough fruits and vegetables to help counter oxidative stress. And I think most people have an issue with getting enough fruits and vegetables. I mean, that's probably one of the first things we share with people, right? So, okay. So the next area that we're going to go into is our polyphenols, and we're going to show that video first, and then we're going to talk about it, because I think this is, you may have seen this one with our Dr. Manfred.
Today I share the results of a new scientific study conducted on Juice Plus capsules at the universities of Parma, Italy and Graz, Austria, published in the journal Nutrients. It's about the polyphenols in Juice Plus. Polyphenols are another important type of phytonutrient.
Oh boy.
Elaine, we just lost the sound.
No, we can't hear it.
I wonder if you go back in and just
Target the tissues and organs that need them.
Can you start back
Researchers
over?
tested 20 healthy subjects, both women and men, average age 33. For 2 weeks before the test, the participants avoided all supplements, dietetic products, drugs, and medications. For 48 hours before the test, they consumed a polyphenol-poor diet based on a list of permitted and forbidden foods to ensure that the polyphenols found in the blood on the day of the test were the result of taking Juice Plus. On the day of the test, after the subjects had fasted overnight, researchers took a baseline blood sampling. Then, each participant took 3 Juice Plus capsules, 1 fruit, 1 vegetable, 1 berry, along with 250 milliliters of water. That's all the Juice Plus they took for this test, 3 capsules, 1 time. Researchers then collected 4 additional blood samples over time, 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, and 10 hours after capsule intake. What did they find in the blood samples? Polyphenols. Some polyphenols appeared in the bloodstream only 1 to 2 hours after taking the capsules, suggesting they were absorbed in the upper gastrointestinal tract. Other polyphenols appeared in the blood later, between 5 and 10 hours after taking the capsules, suggesting they were absorbed in the lower gastrointestinal tract. But here is what's even more interesting. There were polyphenols in the blood that were not even present in the Juice Plus products. Where did they come from? The researchers postulate that the polyphenols from Juice Plus were converted by the body itself into other phenolic compounds in the colon's microbiome as well as in the liver. In other words, phytonutrients from Juice Plus encouraged our bodies to produce other beneficial micronutrients. The data also suggests that polyphenols from Juice Plus help nourish the gut microbiome, the billions of microorganisms that live in our guts and are vital to our health and well-being. Amazing, isn't it? We keep learning more and more about why consuming plenty of phytonutrients from fruits and vegetables every day is so essential to good health, and how some of those benefits can occur almost immediately.
Okay. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that just revs me up. I love what Dr. Candace Corson calls our elegant microbiome, that we have all the good bacteria in our system. And isn't it amazing? On one capsule, one of each of our capsules, one time produced polyphenols that weren't in any of their food because they were on a fast before for I think it was 24, 48 hours before they ever even took the first capsule. So I just think that is so exciting. So one of the other studies that we're going to talk about right now, we're going to kind of dive into the DNA. And like I said, this kind of is, it's both, you know, it's cardiovascular, DNA, nutrigenomics, all of it. Well, our DNA is our genetic code, and it gives our body instructions on how to build proteins and to construct and repair cells. And we have 6 studies that our Juice Plus capsules protect DNA from oxidation, and they support structural integrity. So the research on the nutrition and gene interactions, which is nutrigenomics, has demonstrated that several of our genes are changed, literally our genes are changed after eating Juice Plus. And they affect how our body stores fat, how it reacts to injury, promotes energy, maintains healthy blood sugar levels. So they're one of our studies from 2004. Again, this was just the red and green. Is the study, it was in the Journal of Nutrition, and it talks about how just fruits and vegetables have been heralded to decrease the overall risk of cancer and other diseases, and that this evidence supports how important antioxidants are, carotenoids, other phytonutrients. And one of the proposed mechanisms of antioxidant protection is protecting our DNA. And this is especially helpful in older populations. And actually, this study was done on the elderly, which I hate that term because I would have certainly fit in this study for this one. But basically, they gave them the red and green, and they were hoping that it would reduce the level of DNA damage in their bodies, which is pretty amazing. As you get older, you know, it's much harder for things to work. So we're going to watch this video on from the University of Graz, number 36.
Richard Barrows.
I'm sorry. Nope. I'm sorry. This one, you know what? This one is, I don't think we even did that one. Maybe we can show it later. Okay. But basically, I'm sorry, it's the one we just watched. Okay. I was just explaining more about the nutrigenomics. So the one that we're going to watch right now is from Dr. Richard Baranov. Anyway, he was a clinical professor at the University of Mississippi, and I had never heard of him until I started researching this. But he talks about how important this is because it's never too late to improve our DNA health. And he said every cell in our body will know the difference even if we don't feel different. So thank you, Elaine, if you would show that one now.
Well, I started medical school in 1955. At that time, life expectancy in the United States was 68, and now it's 78. We're living longer, but we're living sicker. And there's never been, in any disease category in the United States, the disease numbers that we see today. Never. We're doing better, treating much better than a decade or so ago, but we're living longer, but sicker. And I always tell my contemporaries, it's never too late to improve your immune system. Get started on Juice Plus. Add Juice Plus to your diet. Every cell in your body will know there's a difference, even if you don't feel different. And chances are with time, you will observe some tangible differences. But if you're healthy enough when you start, you may not really notice it, but your cells will know. A favorite quote that I came across some years ago was by Albert Einstein. And if I remember it correctly, it was, there are 2 ways to look at life. One is that nothing is a miracle, and the other is that everything is a miracle. And I think Juice Plus is a miracle.
Okay, it's hard for me not to stand up and do a little cheer right then, because it just moves me so much, you know. And I think it's really true that, you know, we're living longer, but we're living sicker. But we have this miracle that we can use. And I mean, does that rock with you guys? Does that resonate too? I think I watched that 4 times over the weekend. So Okay, I'm gonna calm down now. Okay, and the next video that we're gonna show, this is another one that you may never have heard of or watched before. His name is Farzan Rajut, and he's a board certified cardiologist, and he specialized in cardiovascular diseases, nuclear cardiology, and he's one of the few cardiologists actually that has advanced training in several of these different practices. He's from Newport Beach, and he said I think this is a real quick one. It's just a 1-minute one, but he says the earlier that he can find cardiovascular disease, the earlier that he can treat it, and he really sees Juice Plus as a way to address the gap in our nutrition. So if we could play that one, please.
Starting the road to good health can start at any age. It can start when you're 6, 8, even in your 60s, 70s, and 80s. And we know that a lot of adults and even seniors are malnourished. And when we're talking about people as they get older, we're dealing with various issues that are preventable by proper nutrition. It's an integral part. So as a cardiologist, I do recommend proper nutrition to my patients. Juice Plus provides that. Juice Plus provides the phytonutrients that come from fruits and vegetables and from berries. Our body is a dynamic process. Things are happening and the body's breaking down daily. We can slow down the progression of that with proper nutrition. Good nutrition is an integral part of cardiovascular disease prevention. And Juice Plus is a great partner to collaborate with regards to good health.
Isn't that exciting? And one of the things I really need to point out, and I probably should have pointed out to begin with, is what I'm trying to show you is the range of every part of society that's being affected, from literally from preborn babies all the way through the elderly. Okay, so the next study that we're going to talk about is from the University of Florida. This is another one that was just on the fruits and vegetables, because this was in 2006, but this one is on law students. And they say that law students as a society are the most stressed people coming out at the highest stress level. I'm not sure after the last 2 years that we've been through that would necessarily be still as true. I think there's a lot of people are super stressed right now, but they took 59, quote, healthy law students and put them on Juice Plus or a placebo for 77 days. And what they discovered after that is that the reduction of DNA damage in the students, and they were all ages, who had been radically reduced. They said that their carotenoid levels, their ascorbic acid levels, their plasma Fs, all were associated. They were all associated with a greater percentage of the T cells, and the T cells are they're the fighter cells in our body, and so it really reduced the number of illnesses these law students succumb to, and also the severity, which we've had several studies over the years that, it's not that we're never going to get sick, but usually the severity of the sickness and many, many times the longevity, how long it lasts, that we're able to fight it so much easier and so much better. And so the law students that were on Juice Plus, they increased their plasma nutrients, their antioxidant capacity. It reduced, they said, DNA strand breaks, because when a DNA strand breaks, you can never rebuild it. I did not know that. You just hope that another one is formed. And it also increases your T cells, and those are the fighters, so we want them increased. Okay, so that was in 2006. And then in 2007, that was done in Florida. Then there was a study done in Tokyo. And this was again on fruits and veg, just the two red and the green, as we call them, on chronic diseases like cancer and cardiovascular. And so there were, in this one, 60 Japanese people basically they were young, and some of them were even smokers. There were men and women. And I think of the 60, 13 of them were smokers. And so what they were doing was they wanted to see how their cardiovascular markers were increased. And so it said that even without any kind of change in what they had been eating, their diet, that just supplementing with Juice Plus proved highly bioavailable source of phytonutrients. So I think the Japanese eat a pretty healthy diet, but you know, a lot of times if your body isn't ready to receive that kind of nutrient, it doesn't really matter. And Juice Plus makes our body more accessible. We're more bioavailable. They're in the system so much quicker. And so they were able to receive, they had desirable levels of decreased risk of disease, less oxidative stress, and even in the smokers, the difference in their homocysteine level and their folate was just off the scale. So again, completely different continent now. And then we're going into another study from South Carolina on chronic inflammation, and it contributes to many diseases worldwide. And what they're talking about is the inflammatory part of DNA. That again, our DNA is what is our body, what builds our body. It's what our body, the health of our body is determined. And that again, systemic inflammation was severely decreased. And inflammation, I mean, they say that's the genesis of everything that goes wrong in our body, is because we have high levels of inflammation. I know for me personally, 19 years ago, when I first heard about Juice Plus, I had, many of you know that, I had a lot of illnesses going on, and the doctor I was going to every month said I had one of the most inflamed bodies he'd ever seen. And so the fact that being able to reduce all that, and I've always been a vegan anyway, but even then I wasn't getting near enough fruits and vegetables. So I think that's really exciting. Then the study that is also from 2017, it's the one that's called Nutrients. And this one is, we're going to watch this video too. This is with, again, Dr. Manfrecht. But this one, they have added the trio. So let's watch that one, and then we'll talk about it for a minute. That's 36.
I'm here today to share the results of an exciting new scientific study conducted on Juice Plus at the University of Newcastle in Australia, published in the scientific journal Nutrients. Researchers recruited 56 overweight adults over the age of 40 who, like most of us, don't eat enough fruits and vegetables every day. Half of the group received Juice Plus Orchard, Garden and Vineyard for 8 weeks. The other half received an identical appearing placebo. So what did they observe? In the Juice Plus group, they observed a reduction in cholesterol of 3.5%. According to the researchers, this reduction matches a weight loss of almost 9 pounds and about a 9% reduction in the risk of cardiovascular disease. This was observed after just 8 weeks of ingesting these concentrated fruit and vegetable powders. But that's not everything. They screened for low-grade chronic inflammation. Low-grade inflammation is an indicator for a higher risk of chronic diseases like cardiovascular diseases or even some kinds of cancer. In this subgroup of people with higher levels of systemic inflammation, the study showed a 7% reduction in cholesterol, and this matches a cardiovascular equivalent of losing almost 20 pounds of weight and a 19% reduction in cardiovascular disease risk. They also found a reduction of LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol, and an increase in lean body mass. But there is even more. The influence of nutrition on our genes is a new field of research called nutrigenomics. We know that genes are responsible for our health or disease situation, but what many people think, that they are victims of their genes, is simply not true. Our lifestyle impacts more than 50% of our health, and diet plays a major role. Genes can be turned up or down by what we choose to eat. So the Australian researchers analyzed changes in gene expression in the Juice Plus group. They wanted to know whether supplementation with Juice Plus affects certain groups of genes involved in inflammation and DNA repair. And now get this. They found that over 1,600 genes were changed after just 8 weeks of taking Juice Plus. The message here is simple. Good nutrition from a wide variety of fruits and vegetables is proven, once again, to be an important component of good health.
Okay, as a friend of mine would say, if that doesn't get your heart pumping or it doesn't set you on fire, your wood's wet. Because, oh my gosh, who is not going to be excited about, you know, the prospect of losing weight and having all these amazing things happening in your body? Okay, so now how we doing? We okay? You still with me? I just got one more. Okay, this last one is by far probably my favorite, and this is called the McDonald's study, and we're going to talk about that just for a second. Okay, this study was in, I found out through all this research, this was 38 healthy volunteers and who worked in the hospital of University of Maryland, which just happened to be across the street from a McDonald's. Okay, and so they took, this was with all the trio, and so they divided people into 3 groups. There was a placebo, there was the fruit and veggie, and the fruit and veggie and the berry. And they were on this study for 4 weeks, and they made capsules that all looked identical. So that was not an issue. And so so they took all these people and they did a baseline, and in the baseline, all of them were basically the same. They all came out with a 40 to 50% vasoconstrictive event. Okay, so this is how a doctor said it to me. Okay, he said that baseline before Juice Plus, all the 3 groups, the placebo, the fruit and vegetable and berry, they all had a 40 to 50% vasoconstrictive event. They were tightened up, right? In other words, they all started at the same level. Okay, which means inside our veins and arteries, on the lining around there, is our endothelial. And when we're eating fatty food and we're not exercising, that's what builds up. Okay, and so that's where they already had a 40 to 50% constriction, just as being a regular quote unquote healthy person that worked at the hospital. Okay, so they took the capsules for 28 days, and then they stopped them. And they would not, and they stopped them on day 28, and then day 29 is when they came in they came back in for the test. Now, normally anything that we take or anything that we eat, that there's usually no protection from that after 6 hours from whatever isolated antioxidant you're taking. So this was literally 4 times that long. Okay, when they came in the next day. So after 24 hours, their blood flow was measured at the brachial artery in their arm. And then they, at 3 weeks, and then again at the end of the study at 4 weeks, they took them into McDonald's and they fed them a typical 50-gram, 900-calorie McDonald's breakfast: an egg McMuffin, a sausage McMuffin, 2 hash brown patties, and a non-caffeinated beverage. Okay. I mean, okay, just that part blew me away. An egg and a sausage and hash browns, but from people I've said that to, yeah. Okay, anyway, so 3 hours later, after they ate that meal, they again took their brachial artery. And the results of this is what is so powerful. Okay, the group in the placebo still had exactly the same level of arterial constriction. They still had the 40 to 50%. Okay, the group that was on just the fruit and veggie had only a 16% arterial constriction, which means it was a 64 from total. It's 64% reduction in blood flow, which is impressive. But here comes I wish I had a drum roll. The group that was on all 3 blends, the fruits, the vegetables, and the berries, had less than 1% arterial constriction, virtually none. So this is priceless. Their restriction of blood flow was virtually eliminated, which meant it had cleaned out that lining inside their veins and arteries. And so it says this study, and I think Elaine, if you want to show, are you showing it to that? Yeah, that it shows that p-value of 0.02. That means that there is a 98% certainty that these results were caused by Juice Plus, because the smaller the p-value, the stronger the research. So and I know the doctor that was sharing with me said, honestly, in statistically, this is unheard of. And I'm like, yay. Okay. So the researchers found that those who consumed all three of the blends were far able to maintain elasticity in their arteries, even after a high fat meal. Now, you know, I remember saying, well, is that big a deal? I mean, are most meals? And he goes, yeah. He says, because research shows that 50% of all heart attacks happen after you eat a high fat meal. And that's because when they get all that fat, the veins and arteries shut down. And they say that did you know statistically there are more heart attacks on Thanksgiving Day than any other day of the year? They call it Black Thursday because most people eat this incredibly high fat meal, right? And so after using, you know, just 4 weeks, it's just how grateful we are that when we eat Thanksgiving, you know, we're going to take our Juice Plus first, right? And so we know that it's going to already blunt the detrimental effects of a high fat meal on the endothelial function, which is, you know, the most important part of our inside our veins and arteries. And so what this doctor said to me, you know, we can't take people out of McDonald's, but this study shows that we can take McDonald's out of the people. So I think you see it, that cranks me up. I'm sorry, it makes me so excited. And I literally over this last weekend, and there's that chart. Now you'll notice on the chart, if you don't mind showing that one more time, Elaine, it still has OG, which is you know, they used to be the Orchard and Garden, and then the OGV. We'll try to make, I think we can maybe put that into Canva. I started to do it and I got distracted, and it has the old bottles, but it's just that they changed the name of it. Nothing else has been changed. So I tell you, like I said, it has been such a joy for me to have the opportunity to do this. I am loving this research, and I know I'm okay. I'll try to calm down.
Brenda, I have a question.
Sure.
Is there a video from one of the doctors that just explains that? I mean, where did that chart come from? That's
Different. Well, actually, I went to the actual study. That's the chart on the study. They just added things to it and colored it. This was, remember, Elaine, this was a big deal back when this first came out, and everybody has, you know, I had several different things with that chart. So
I wanted to send it to someone, but I want to send a video because I can't explain it. So
well, and there's really not a video on that particular study. And basically, I just kind of show them that and just talk about it. You know, that it just shows the difference in what Juice Plus can do to clean out our veins and arteries.
Okay, thank you. Sure.
We need to get somebody to make a video, I guess, but obviously not me. So anyway, I really hope that that, you know, this is meaningful for you guys, and that it really it just, you know, sets you off as it does me, because we have so much. And like I said, 16 studies basically that all overlap, just proving what actual, you know, gold we have in our hands, and how, you know, we have such, let's see, what did Jeff write? He said, cardio health, normal levels start with JP blunts the high fat in arteries after a high fat meal. High fat throws the blood into chaos. Oh, that's great to know, Jeff. What does that mean? Throws it into chaos. Can you share?
That explains what you just explained in the last paragraph of the last study from Maryland, the McDonald's study, is that when you eat a high fat meal, it goes into the bloodstream. And if you don't have the the effort of Juice Plus helping to reduce that, then you're setting yourself up for a heart attack. Basically.
That's what they say. That's why they call it Black Thursday, you know. Yeah, we appreciate that. It's great to have professionals backing all this up for us that we know. So anybody else have any questions that hopefully I can help you with?
I have one, Brenda, on the first study when you were talking about the smokers and the impact that Juice Plus had, that the smokers, because I've always talked about the smokers getting the same bang for their buck in regard to Juice Plus. So if we're here, smokers are here, we get on Juice Plus, they move up as much as we do. So they get the same benefit.
Mhm.
You explained what that actual benefit was. Was it that, and I was writing down, I couldn't remember, was it that they had the same decrease in homocysteine levels, or you were also talking about using the breathing machine? Did they see a different, where was that increase that was noticed in the smokers?
Okay, because it said that, okay, to assess the subject's cardiovascular well-being, researchers measured blood level of two substances, homocysteine and cysteine. And it's important to keep both of those amino acids in a healthy range. The participants' lung function was also evaluated by measuring the flow and volume of air entering and exiting. So evidently, it says finally, it didn't really say that I saw where it talked about difference, but even being able to draw more oxygen in, it's usually that's not what they measure, it's how much you can blow out, but that both of those had been impacted.
So homocysteine, cysteine, and their ability to a higher volume of air blowing out.
And also their level of folate, which is, and one of the things that you and I talked about is we really need to really hit on the difference between folate, which is in Juice Plus, and folic acid, which isn't, there's a lot of issues with folic acid, but folate really helps. It says, let me see, after 3 months, levels of homocysteine and cysteine returned to normal levels in the group taking Juice Plus, which is heart healthy. In addition, both Juice Plus groups experienced improvements in several markers of respiratory function, although improvement was more marked in the group taking the trio, and that they had improved levels of folate. The placebo group did not experience any changes, ruling out any kind of placebo effect. Juice Plus positively impacts key indicators of cardiovascular and lung wellness. Researchers believe it's the antioxidants in Juice Plus that are responsible for its cardiovascular effects. It's well established that heart healthy nutrition includes eating plenty of fruits and vegetables. While fruits and vegetables have multiple health promoting constituents, a key among them are the antioxidants. And that's where it says that most people don't eat 7 to 13. Back then it was only then. And so they have reduced antioxidant capacity if you're not eating fruits and vegetables. And that Juice Plus is a convenient way for people who have difficulty eating to counter the oxidative stress from smoking.
I hope everybody's taking good notes. This is a lot of good stuff.
I know it's a lot.
I think when we have little tidbits like this to share with people, other products out there talk about having research, but they don't, because when you ask for it, it's not there. So when we say it's backed by 40, I think it's up to 47 peer reviewed. When we have the ability to share a little tidbit of this research, say that research, that just brings credibility to us and to our product. The other thing you mentioned that really hit home was, I don't remember which study you were talking about, where you said that the capsules were exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. It was a McDonald's study. Mm-hmm. But they were all that way. That came out on every one of them.
Well, what really struck me was, brand name not being mentioned, but they talk about research that we're seeing publicized all the time on TV. They talk about research. Juice Plus is what I've heard. I've not seen anything documented, but that Juice Plus did do some research on that product, since they try to be a Juice Plus copycat, and absolutely no impact whatsoever on a cellular level, none, zero. And I think that's very interesting in that how easily, if we really don't have research to support what we say is going on, it's just a marketing ploy. And I think
and the fact that we can access, I actually was on the abstract of every one of these studies. And look, that's where I got a lot of this information was from the actual study. I tried to put it in English, but I mean, it's amazing. And most of it is, I mean, you can really, you can cipher your way through it. So and there's just nothing else like it. I tell you, I think bulletproof is it's a great term because that's how I feel,
Well, thank you, Brenda. What an excellent training that was. And I'm excited about just some of the new things I've learned to add on. And I know you guys are too. So thanks. That was a lot of work. So thank you so much, Brenda.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, next week is 4th of July. So we will not have our call next week, but we will pick up the following week and continue our series on research. So thank you guys for being on the call today. Take notes, mark up that sheet, and let's really utilize this incredible information we have at our fingertips. So have a great week, and we will talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Hi, thank you.
Thank
Happy
you. Bye.
holidays.
Yes.
Great job, Brenda. You did
Oh, you're so